Okay, so we're on the last verse of the text today, so you can only guess what this topic is. Okay. By the virtue of this advice, may living beings turn from the bustle of this life, whose happiness is never enough, whose suffering never runs out, to live instead by the great joy of Dharma. Beautiful dedication verse, isn't it? So this is a text J. Tsongkhapa wrote as advice to lay practitioners. So this is the dedication verse of the text. So he's saying, by the virtue of this advice, through that he's given in the text, may living beings turn from the bustle of this life. Anybody involved in the bustle of this life? Yeah? The appearance of this life is so strong. Our attachment to this life is so strong. Everything about this life and my place in it is so crucially important. And even we're Dharma practitioners, still our mind's constantly around this life, isn't it? Yeah? And what's J. Tsongkhapa saying? May living beings turn away from the bustle of this life. So by the bustle of this life, he means not only like all this activity we're doing, well, you got to do this and got to do that and go here and go there and blah, 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 blah. Not only that, but the bustle of this life inside here. The mind that is spinning around with 10,000 ideas, 50 million regrets, you name it, it's all going on inside of here. There's quite a hustle bustle inside of our own hearts, which makes it difficult. I mean, the external bustle makes it hard to just take in the Dharma because we're too busy going here and there and doing this and that to even stop and listen, or retain it. But the bustle in here, inside of ourselves, creates obstacles to really taking the Dharma to heart. Yeah? Because the bustle inside is mostly our self-centered attitude, isn't it? And our self-grasping ignorance. And, I want what I want when I want it, and how can I get what I want, and how can I help my friends and destroy my enemies, and how can I look good even though what I did was bad? That this kind of hustle bustle inside that just totally takes us away from the sincerity of our spiritual aspirations, And we do have sincere spiritual aspirations. They're in there, yeah, amongst the hustle and bustle, yeah. So to find them and pull them out and treasure them, we need to slow down a bit. Not only slowing external this and that and the other thing, but slowing the self-centered mind, the ignorance, yeah, especially attachment to reputation and praise. Boy, those two keep us so occupied. Okay, so it's a short line, but there's a lot of meaning in it. Can you imagine for a minute, may living beings turn from the bustle of this life? Yeah, just stop, like everything that the newspapers are reporting, all those people just, 1 hour turn away from the hustle and bustle of this life. Yeah, it would be quite remarkable, wouldn't it? Yeah. Bad for the economy. Can't do that. But good for the heart, isn't it? And probably good for health as well. And then the next line, okay, the hustle and bustle of this life, whose happiness is never enough, whose suffering never runs out. How true, huh? Happiness of this life, whatever we get, not enough. We kind of go through life, with the eight worldly concerns, with this poverty mentality. The happiness I have is never enough. It's never secure enough. My sense pleasure, never good enough, needs some improvement. Yeah, my relationships, never good enough. I could use more love. I could use more appreciation. I could use some more praise. Yeah, couldn't you all? Yeah? Yeah? So it's never enough. The happiness is never enough. People don't recognize how astounding I am and appreciate it from the depths of their heart. Yeah? And I do so much, I should have more pleasure, but the pleasure, goes out to all these other people, not to me, because the world is very unfair. Yeah, that one too, remember? Yeah, our first words as children, it's unfair. Yeah, but the happiness is never enough, always poverty mentality, and the problems never run out. Yeah, so what we want, we can't get enough of. What we don't want, it comes automatically. Even we try and stop it, one problem after another, after another. Yeah, and we always think, as soon as I get this problem solved, then I'll be able to practice Dharma. Yeah? There's like this problem that's hindering me right now. We'll fix that, then I'll really be able to do some serious Dharma practice. But as soon as one problem finishes, then all the others that have been waiting in line to be prominent, now one of them becomes number one, and we have a new problem to fuss about. Yeah? To introduce ourselves with. I'm the person who has the problem of da-da-da-da. Yeah, fill in the blank. Yeah, that's how we create an identity and introduce ourselves. Yeah. So wouldn't it be wonderful, whose happiness is not enough, whose suffering never runs out, if we could reverse those in our mind. What I used to, keep saying what Lama Yeshe would say about good enough, dear. Yeah, my happiness is good enough. It's good enough. What I have is good enough. Who I am is good enough. What I do is good enough. I'm satisfied. There's some contentment in my life. Problems come, opportunity to grow. Instead of problems come, they aren't supposed to be here, get them away. Yeah? I mean, what are the thought training teachings all about? Yeah? Problems, good. Yeah? You know how they say that a bodhisattva, when a bodhisattva hears somebody say, please could you do this for me? Instead of running out the door as fast as they can, pretending they didn't hear, the bodhisattva says, yes, what can I do to help? Yeah, so to transform things, instead of make them into problems, transform them into ways to practice, to increase our generosity, our compassion. Okay, so this is what Jay Rinpoche is dedicating for. Okay, and so to live instead by the great joy of the Dharma. So instead of running around, trying to perfect the happiness of this life, which we're never going to succeed in doing, just leave it aside and focus on the joy of the Dharma practice. The Dharma meaning transforming our heart, transforming what's in here. So to really take joy from our practice and make that the happiness in our life. Even though the rest of the world tells us we're crazy. And they will. But that's okay. Because from our viewpoint, they're also crazy. Aren't they? I mean, don't you feel like you're living in an insane asylum sometimes in this world? When you read the newspaper, I feel like I'm living in a nut house. Yeah, it's like the decisions people make. amazing. Yeah? So to live by the joy of the Dharma is a beautiful dedication, a beautiful invitation to us. So I thought I'd read the whole thing, because we're always supposed to start again. So I thought I'd, since it's so short, I'd just read the whole thing again. Okay, so it's The Essence of a Human Life, Words of Advice for the Lay Practitioner by J. Tsongkhapa. Homage to my Guru, the youthful Manjushri. To those within her refuge, every happiness and joy. For those beset by suffering, every assistance. Noble Tara, I bow before you. Those adrift on great seas of suffering, I will save. A powerful vow made good. To your lotus feet, compassionate goddess, I offer this bowed head. You of fine features, this is the person who requested the text. You have gained this opportune and leisured human form. If you follow me who speaks to help others, listen well, I have something to say. Death will definitely come and will quickly come. Should you neglect to train your thoughts again and again on such certainties, you will grow no virtuous mind. And even if you do, it will be spent on enjoyment of the glories of this life. Think, therefore, upon seeing and hearing of others' deaths, I am no different, death will soon come. Its certainty is no doubt, but no certainty as to when. I must say farewell to my body, wealth, and friends, but good and bad deeds will follow like shadows. From bad will come the long and unbearable pain of the 3 lower realms. From good, the higher, happier realms, from which to swiftly enter the echelons of awakening. Know this and think about it day after day. With such thoughts, make efforts in refuge. Live as best you can according to the 5 lifelong precepts, praised by the Buddha as the basis of lay life. Take sometimes the 8 one-day precepts and guard them dearly. Drunkenness particularly is the ruin of the world, held in contempt by the wise. Therefore, my fine-featured ones, it is good to turn from such despised behavior. If what you do brings on suffering eventually, though it may appear in the moment as happiness, then do not do it. After all, beautiful food cooked but mixed, food beautifully cooked but mixed with poison is left untouched, isn't it? To the 3 jewels make prayers and offerings each day. Work hard to be wholesome, confess previous wrongs. Strengthen your precepts again and again, dedicating all merit for awakening. To conclude, you are born alone, die alone. Friends and relations are therefore unreliable. Dharma alone is the supreme reliance. This short life is over, gone in a flash. Realize that come what may, now is the time to find happiness everlasting. Do not leave this precious human life empty-handed. By the virtue of this advice, may living beings turn from the bustle of this life, whose happiness is never enough, whose suffering never runs out, to live instead by the great joy of Dharma.